Hello, everyone. We are so excited that you have decided to join us for part two of Eric Porter's story and how he shares how Backyard Orphans was started and what he's doing now and what is on the horizon. We hope that today's episode will be such a blessing for you and you will leave with so much more information on how you can help and serve in your local community. So let's start.
But just let us know some things that he is doing and how you saw him, and there was just no doubt in your mind that, oh, there he is again. That's God.
Yeah, yeah, that's a long list. I'll go back to the 14 years ago. We were at a great church, and there was no reason to leave. We were, 10 years or 12 years into the career of being local pastors, and you're definitely hitting a stride where you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's new curveballs and there's always new challenges, but um it was very so the scene to set the scene, it was like my wife was pregnant with our fourth child in the third trimester, and we decided that God told us to take a blind step of faith.
Yeah, okay.
Like that, I don't encourage that. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? So,
You
uh,
know it's God when it's crazy. You know
right.
it's
Well,
God.
yeah, because there was no net.
Nope.
Like there was like so it was a blind step of faith, and we didn't know where we're gonna live. I didn't even know what I was gonna do, you guys. Like I didn't even all I knew was this word orphan care. So the blind step was very blind. And it was on September 14th, 2011. And the announcement went out to the church. They were so gracious and let us stay for 4 months afterwards to figure things out and to find our replacement. But it wasn't for 6 weeks until God showed us what I described to you is equipping churches to care for orphans. Like I didn't even know. And I discovered along the way, like, what's the top problem in this foster care space or orphan care? And they said the church. I was like, the church, you know. Um, but to go back 14 years ago and to think it was just Trish and I and following Habakkuk 2:2, writing out a vision, making it plain so others can run. And people can find our impact report at impact.backyardorphans.org. Well, you'll see God's scoreboard, right?
Oh,
You'll
wow.
see thousands of churches have been engaged in this conversation. We've equipped, I can't remember, it was like mid 200, 250 or something like that, with a deep dive around the nation and other countries too that we're helping in. Um, we've launched a dozen or so other people to do what we do around the United States. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we're in 3 different countries, 38 states. We drink a lot of coffee to do what we're doing. So you'll see our caffeine intake for since 2020. Um,
Friends reports on the
but
coffee.
yeah, but my favorite guys is over 2,000 hurting children have found healing homes since we started. So I am constantly just in awe of how God on the day to day, week to week, but even the big picture just does. He calls the unequipped,
Yes,
and then he equips the called. And
exactly.
I'm that testimony. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just following God. So yeah.
Right.
I think what's so great about what you do, and I was actually, it's really neat because you mentioned Habakkuk and how you have a clear vision. You make it plain and you have a clear vision. I was actually sitting here before you said that. I was thinking, what's so good is that you'll have such a clear vision that you can cast for everyone else. Because if there's no vision, and if you're not able to cast the vision, you will find it a much harder thing to do whatever it is you're seeking to do. If it's to serve or volunteer or create your own nonprofit or ministry, whatever it is, if you can't cast the vision, if you don't know where you're headed, it's going to be really hard to get there. And I'm going to say you probably can't get there. So I think it's really wonderful that not only do you have the vision, you can cast the vision, and then other people pick that up and run with it.
It's funny to hear you say that because, like, one, I think of Proverbs that says, "Without vision, people stumble all over themselves." Right. So, as a pastor, I know those things. But guys, I in the beginning, I love meeting people who are just getting called in this space. They sound like I did 14 years ago. And I had a high level marketing firm that we were working with. And they used to do like Universal Studios type marketing, right? And he looked at me, Nick, you might have met some of these guys back in the Keep days, before
Right,
Backyard.
right.
And he said, Eric, I love you, but he said, you do what we call passion vomit. And I was like,
Mhm,
what?
mhm. I make
What
you.
do you
Huh?
mean? I know. And so it was just like just story and ideas
Mhm,
and just
mhm.
very abstract and organic. And it was like I know it's probably clear in your head, but it is not clear to your team, to your
Mhm,
customer, if you will, to donors.
mhm.
So for all those reasons, you need to work. And so, man, God has helped me, and we've had great team
Right.
members along the way, kind of refine that vision and mission and get it tight. So,
Exactly. And I just love that last part because we always say, okay, well, I have this vision. Let me write it down and make it plain. How do we do that? Because when we say that we have a vision, and I'm going to also just kind of put it out there for the listeners and those who watching, because maybe you're in a place that you're saying, well, I think God's called me, but it's not clear. Okay, I just need to sit here. And that's where we get sometimes, even as Christians. We're just going to sit here and wait until it's clear. It's clear to God already. It's the obedience of the vision that He tells us we have to walk through. Then, as it becomes clearer and clearer to us, the clear part initially is that it's clear that I must follow Him.
Exactly.
It's clear that I must say yes.
I'm
Yeah.
You
gonna
know.
the word I
Mhm.
think the listeners and viewers need to hear is take the step.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go.
Whatever it is, you need to take the step because
Mhm.
faith is lived at the deep end of the pool.
Yes.
Wow.
Faith is not sitting back waiting for things to happen.
Mhm.
Faith
Right.
takes action. Like
Mhm.
you just can't. Like the scripture tells us, delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart.
Mhm.
Says, rejoice for the steps of a righteous person are ordered by the Lord. I put myself in this category, but many of us as believers complicate God's will.
Mhm.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I mean, because I get it. We want it to be like this huge cosmic creator of the universe, has this little plan for my little bitty blip of a life.
Mhm.
But take the step, you know what I'm saying? And you're gonna learn from it. And
Mhm.
any faith walkers
Yeah.
have probably more lessons of what not to do,
Mhm.
Mhm.
self included, than what to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's just living by faith.
Right.
Because
So
it's not about
I
it being perfect. It's gonna be messy.
Mhm.
God knows this. He
right.
I don't even know if I should say the quote, but when he created the plan for you, he factored in your stupidity, which is a quote that I thought was hilarious. But I mean, how true is that?
Right.
He knows it's messy. He knows you're gonna make mistakes. That doesn't scare him. He just wants you to say yes to him.
Right. Right.
Right.
And that's good. And actually, speaking of that, yes, Eric, I don't know if you've listened to us, but you're going to follow us and listen from this point on. I want you to go backwards because in one of our earliest episodes, we had a lady join us, and I'm going to let you find out which one through your research because I know you are a nerd at heart. And this person was in a luncheon that you did. When she started talking, I had no doubt about it. It was yours. And she was in this luncheon. She was just recruited from her church or voluntold as the one who was going to go attend because everyone else kind of pulled out and they couldn't do it because of their schedules. So she was like, okay, I'll go to this luncheon. She sat there and she listened to this guy talk about what the Bible tells us and what our mandate was. And then the question was, okay, what are you going to do? How are
Mhm.
you going to make this change? Is God calling you to do this?
Mhm.
And then she opened up her ministry too, because she said she was way too old to foster. She
Yeah.
wasn't fostering, she wasn't adopting, but she did hear along with that way in that day. Everybody can't foster, everybody can't adopt, but everybody can do something. What is your something? And
Man.
that stuck with her. She, was up all night thinking, what is my something, Lord? And then he told her. And she's been doing it, what, 10 years now?
Yes, about that, yeah.
Yeah, so she's still in there and she's still doing it. And I got to see for myself how she's impacting these families, how she's impacting the closets around here, just what she's doing. And it all started with that outreach. It all started with Just that question. You being able to inform them what the Bible says. You are being able to dissect that word and then just ask the question. What are you going to do in this space?
I want to give you an update because that reminds me. Nikki, you remember our little Hallie, our youngest, on this
Mhm.
little, remember this
Yes.
little,
She's a
uh,
little baby then. She's a big
little
girl now.
peanut right there?
Right.
Back when she was 6 and 7, she's 13 now. When she was 6 and 7, God told her in our house here,
Mhm.
she came up to her and said, Mom and Dad, I feel like every little girl needs a Barbie doll in foster care, right? And
Mhm.
so I was like, yeah. I was like, she goes, don't you think? I'm like, let's see what God can do. I totally was like, let me put that on his
Right.
shoulders, you know?
Mhm.
And so Trish and I were just kind of praying and thinking, and there was a women's conference that was in our county here, and Trish talked to the director and was like, hey, what if every woman who registered was encouraged to bring a Barbie doll for girls in foster care? There
Mhm.
were hundreds of Barbie dolls brought. Okay. So now that was 6, 7 years ago. About
Mhm.
2 years ago, I don't know if you know the catch up. Okay. Hallie and I were headed to the airport and here in Dallas. And she turned to me, she goes, Dad, do you remember that? And I'm like, of course I remember that. It was awesome, because we gave them to Terrace
Right.
Impressions and
Mhm.
Nikki, right, to distribute them. So
Right.
you were a part of that first miracle,
Mhm.
right? So the second wave, she goes, I feel like God's telling me to do that again, but for boys and girls, and not just Barbie dolls, but clothes, shoes, food, whatever they need. And I
Awesome.
was like, huh. I was like, I think you need some Hallie's heroes.
Mhm.
You go get some
Like
people to give,
that.
and then you go help bless some kids, right? And she goes, yeah,
Mhm.
Hallie's heroes. And so we get to the airport. An hour later at the airport, the pastor, we're going to preach to Kansas City,
Mhm.
calls me and says, hey, we'd like to bless pastor kids, missionary kids with a little cash offering. And I'm like, who carries cash anymore, right? It's a decent sized church, but I'm like, this is great. So I told him what she just told me. He goes,
Mhm.
oh, we're launching Hallie's Heroes tomorrow. I go,
Wow.
okay, let's go.
Love
So
it.
I get off a stage and then I'm sitting next to her and I surprised her and tell her. He starts talking about Hallie's Heroes on stage and says, so she's going to be holding a little bucket in the foyer after services. And I got these pictures of like her holding it in cash. Over $3,600 came in that day.
Oh my
Oh my,
God.
Okay.
well, we had about that many Barbie dolls too, but okay.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
then by the end, like by so that was like a year ago. So
Oh
then
my
up to January, 6,000 total had come in. Year to date, $26,000 has come in to Hallie
wow.
Heroes.
Oh
I
my
love it. Hush.
Isn't that great? So
That
people go
is
to
so
hear.
awesome. So talk to us about what it looks like globally for you now.
Yeah, so you do have both sides. You have the family side, and then we'll talk about the churches globally. But on the family side, it's like um, we want to be a family that lives on mission. You know, the Great Commission isn't just for mom and dad. The Great Commission to share the gospel uh, into Jerusalem, Judea, and all the parts of the world is for everybody. And so always trying to find as Trish and I being the pastors of our home, we
Mhm.
we want to like mobilize our kids to be givers and to be goers and prayers for missions outside of it. So yeah, we've taken our kids to Guatemala. One group went to Guatemala, the older ones. Then there's a few years where we said yes to foster adoption. So and then a year ago, our kids went to Kenya together. That was all 8 of us.
I saw
Whew.
those pictures. Yes.
Yeah, and then just a couple months ago, the 5 of us in the house went to Guatemala. And again, I want our kids. And guys, I don't have money sitting around for that stuff. Like you just pray and God tells you the vision for your family,
Right.
and then he equips you for
Hmm.
the calling that he's given you. So you just pray it in and figure out how and let God worry about the money. We
Right.
had pastors zoom in and train my kids to prepare them for mission trips. Here's some things you need to think about. Here's some things you need to avoid. Here's some things, like we wanted them to really be prepared, and it really was a great trip.
That's
So
awesome.
I just think as parents, like that's critical. And
Mhm.
then on the other side, I honestly thought 14 years ago, I would be way more involved with international orphan care than domestic.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I was just surprised and yet trying to do what the Lord was showing me, especially with Bishop Aaron Blake,
Mhm.
teaching me domestic foster and orphan care, but always in my mind, just going, the plan that God gave us to equip the church to care for kids in their backyard is a global biblical principle. It's U.S. taking care of U.S., Guatemala taking care of Guatemala. We've been to Honduras, Kenya taking care of Kenya, and just letting that God do the thing. I just this week been in a couple of Zooms with some Puerto Rico uh, missions work, trying to build a foster care strategy in Puerto Rico. So we know at some point we're going to have to hire a full-time international director, or I'm going to lose my hair doing too much. I'm not sure how it works right there, but it's growing. It's at a slow pace in a good way. We can do like one a year, right now. But as that builds out, uh, we believe the family-based care for kids that God scripted in the scripture um, applies to domestic and international. And it's trying to get both groups to get away from institutional thinking of orphanages
Mhm.
and government, and thinking, how can our church and the families within our church be trained when
Mhm.
trauma and biblical understanding of how to minister from to kids who have been through a lot. They did not sign up for the hurt, pain, and chaos,
Right.
and how families can and churches can be trained to minister to those kids right where they are. So yeah.
Wow,
That is
that's
good.
beautiful.
That is, that is. So what are some future things other than that's international goals that it's growing and it's growing at a, good pace here. And the more that it grow, the more the word will get out, the more that we're going to hear about it and be able to share with not just internationally, just here, everywhere, because unfortunately, foster care numbers are not going down
Yeah.
Right.
or orphanage, we're getting more and more. Even with everything, our economy and just politics alone, we see that it's not going to get better. We have more children that's being orphaned, emotionally, mentally, physically, than we ever had before. So, what can you charge us for, or what can we do as a community to just fill that gap? To stand in and kind of decrease the numbers here so we can do it in our backyards while you go globally, okay? Because everyone can, go globally with you, but we can, at least try to take care of our areas here so that others, so that we're not sending them out into other areas and increasing those orphan numbers. So what can we do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought you're asking future plans of where we're going, which I might come back to that.
I want, yes,
I
it's
want
coming.
that. I want that answered
Uh-huh.
as well.
Okay,
So,
because there was something. I'll come back to that. So, in our community, and in the community that you live in as you're listening and watching, I think it's just trying to build relationship with that local child welfare. That's probably where I would start. Like,
Yes, ma'am.
who's in charge? Go up to the office. Just like, how can we help? How can we serve? What do you need? Um, I think it's as simple as building a relationship with your local child welfare right there.
Okay.
Um,
And you
I
gave
think in
us,
art, huh?
mhm. I was gonna say yes, and you shared that with us and you gave us those ideas. So that's our starting point.
Yeah. I
So
think in our county,
mhm,
find your place in those levels. You know what I'm saying? Like, level one is prayer. So again, we can't have enough, we can't have too many people praying. Any great move of God throughout Scripture starts with prayer.
mhm,
Prayer changes things. Prayer moves the hand of God. Prayer breaks the chains. And these kids are chained up with trauma that is sometimes generational.
mhm,
I remember pacing and praying over one of our first foster care placements. And when you start leaning into what I call warfare prayer, where you're just battling spiritually, um, man, I started praying for chains to be broken from grandparents, aunts, and uncles, and beyond. And I think everybody listening can start praying, right? Like, and they can use that guide, prayer.backyardorphans.org, to help them
okay,
know how to pray, what to pray. There's just prayer points in there. So I think at the minimum, pray. And then I think on that journey, God's going to show you more things to do. So whether that's to like, um, start a career like Sam, you know what I'm saying? Like get involved, like get an education in this space. I think we need more uh believers in this space, career wise, um, from all the things, the judges, the lawyers, the agencies, all the social workers, all those people. We need more people in the career field. It can eat up and spit out some people in career and child welfare because it's a hard thing. Um, but again, to the simple things of the backpacks and finding ways to, if you're in Ellis County, go help Cherish Kids with stuff. They got a lot of stuff going on that you guys could help out with, from birthday parties to those concrete services and all those types of things. So I think there's a place for everybody at the table.
Okay, thank you. Now let's get into the good part. What's to come?
Well,
The
you
blessings,
said
what's to
that,
come.
and I was like, I don't know if
No, just giving you a chance to think about it while you're talking to us about what we can do. Now tell us what you're going to do. Where
well,
see Backyard Orphans?
okay, so this is kind of like, you have to know, as a visionary leader, we're at like baby step number one, right?
Okay.
So this is not. So it's a prayer. It's a prayer request right now, and I hope I don't get in trouble with my team, getting this out of the bag too soon, too fast.
You
Okay,
just
but
talking to us. Okay.
right, yeah, we're just talking here, guys. We're just talking. And Nikki, I don't know if you remember, we cared in Ellis County. We cared for 900 unaccompanied minors for about 30 days 9 years ago. Do you remember that at all? It hit the news. It
Yes.
was
Mhm.
it was drama, and
Yes.
all we, the church, were trying to do is like care for those in our backyard,
Yes.
right?
What we're told to do.
Right. And so since that time, I've just been like, God, what is going on at our Texas-Mexico border? Like, what's going on? And I just, because for me, it's like, what is the problem down there? And then what can the church do? That's always my brain. So
That was
what's
your
the
question.
problem and what can the church do? And so in November, I got to have my first trip down to the border. And I serve on a state committee for foster care. I was voluntold by Bishop Aaron Blake to be on this
Oh,
committee.
okay.
It's
Now,
the adoption of minority children. And so we travel to locations once a quarter. And this was the time for McAllen, Texas, down there.
okay.
Uh, it was so heavy what I saw down there. I got to see foster care, which the leaders down there, you guys would love them. They are top notch, from the state to the CASA to the agencies. Like, the leaders down there are very faith filled, and they were awesome. So, but we know at the border, you got a lot more Hispanics.
Mhm.
There's not enough Hispanic families, just like there's not enough African American families for the amount of kids of color in the system.
Right.
So, though the team is great, the problem is we need to mobilize the churches, Hispanic churches at the border, to recruit foster adopt families from those churches. So that's like problem. That's my day job. I get that.
Mhm.
Now, unaccompanied minors, 89,000 in Texas. I didn't know this. Okay. And I was like, what in the world? Like, so how can churches get involved? Guys, I saw churches, and since then, I've been down there in November. I've been down there 3 times in the last like 9 months. Okay. November, about a month ago, and this week, actually. And so I got to see how churches were creating daycares, which for our language is family preservation,
Mhm.
because they're providing free daycare so that the mom and dad can go to work and they don't lose their kids into the foster care system
Okay.
for the unaccompanied minors. And I
Mhm.
was like, it's like a federal foster care thing. I was like, this is great. And so then I saw a church actually housing 0 to like 17-year-olds, or something like that, who are they're trying
Housing
to
there?
find moms and dads. Yeah, housing them.
Okay.
And I was like, what? Like, how do we get more churches doing that?
Right here
I'm
in
in
Texas.
Texas. It
Okay.
was like a orphanage. It was like but not, like, you can't call it that,
Mhm.
So then I'm driving through and I'm seeing two Maserati dealerships in McAllen, and Indianapolis, Indiana only has one.
Mhm.
And then you drive like a mile and you see extreme poverty.
Yeah.
And you're like, something's not right here. You know what I'm saying? And I drove through colonias, which are
Mhm.
these neighborhoods where they develop land and help people find land. It kind of starts as a tent city, and then it grows
Mhm.
to an RV city or a Home Depot shed
Mhm.
city or cinder block houses to full
Mhm.
houses. It's kind of the stages right there. I'm just like, what in the world? Like, this feels like I'm on the other side of the border. This does not feel right. So then um you can drive to this convenience store and see um work and sex trafficking happening. And I'm talking on the Texas side.
Mhm.
And I am like flipping tables inside going, God, like what can the church do here? The church has got to do something. And so God has been showing us that he obviously wants us to help the church with foster adoption and our day job, right?
Mhm.
But he's also kind of helping us see that this hope for the border,
Mhm.
Texas and Mexico, that we bring the hope of Jesus Christ to serve the churches at the border.
Mhm.
And what do they need help with? There's some heavy addictions going on down there with not a lot of resources to help them recover. And so it's like there's a teen challenge program that we're very connected to. We're like, so the hope for the border thing isn't just about foster care or orphan care for us. It's also for us rallying our friends and colleagues to build a coalition of ministers and missionaries to all join arms and bring the hope down at the border. So I got friends who are anti-trafficking, homeless ministries, pregnancy care to widows care to abortion recovery to all the church planting, church building, like all these different friends that are starting to get in conversations, and we're trying to figure out how do we get a concerted effort to just bring the hope of Jesus Christ to the border. So please be praying because we don't know what we're doing.
Yes.
It's way bigger than any one person and one organization, and we're just trying to figure out what God is calling us to do.
Right.
Wow.
Now,
Whew.
we're going to be praying and we're
Yeah.
going to ask everyone else to pray. And I love that you have a teaching part. You don't just preach because I've heard you. I know you well. And you teach. And this is what we needed to know.
Mhm.
We needed to know that first of all, there's a problem.
Yeah.
you know and then from knowing that there's a problem, we need to talk about what can we do. So right now you're acting as the hands and the feet of Jesus, and you're going down there, you're looking at it, he's showing you things that he wants you to see. What can we do while we're here praying and holding down this battlefield for you and your team to get out there and now work with your hands and your feet? What can we do to support?
Truly, my team feels this year is the prayer and planning stage, right?
Mhm.
So maybe next year is the implementation phase. So
Mhm.
we're just like, we don't know what we don't know,
Right.
So I was with almost 200 pastors this week and at the border and just talking to as many as I could. Like, what are you seeing? How can our friends and colleagues help you? And so we're at the research stage trying to, assess the problem. What is the problem? It's what I teach pastors all the time about James 1:27. Like it says, look after orphans and widows in their distress.
Mhm.
And so the hope for the border is targeting the ecosystem of the vulnerable.
Mhm.
It's not just orphans and widows, but it's taken that same principle from James, says help them in their distress.
Mhm.
So I don't want to sit back here from Dallas and go, oh, I know what the problem is, because I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're trying to figure out what is the problem, what and how do we bring solution and planned, sustained solution so that it's like a 5 to 10 year plan to just help build whatever God's trying to build. So prayer and insight and wisdom and funding, probably prayer, wisdom, and funding. Those are the three things that we're kind of like trying to figure out right now. So
Interesting. All of the work that your ministry is based around is because foster and orphans, that's kind of the result of a bigger problem, right? It's the result of something
Mhm.
that we need to address as well. And it's funny, it kind of sounds like this new thing that you're investigating, as Nikki put it, is kind of like you're going to the source of it now. Instead of dealing with the results of whatever this brokenness is, you're actually dealing with the brokenness. And I'm going to be very interested to see what you learn through
Me
this
too.
and how God is going to shape your ministry,
Yes,
because
yes.
we never know how big. I mean, God is a big God, and he dreams bigger than we ever could possibly, and he has this vision. And I just can't help but wonder how this is going to affect, the ripple effect in your ministry and what you do. And maybe it's going to open up a whole new world that you just never even thought of.
Well, my current goal is to build it and set it free, the hope for the border, because Texas, Mexico, because I know there's a New Mexico border, there's a California, Mexico, and
Mhm.
there's hope for Dallas, I don't, today, I don't think it's long term, but we're just supposed to build it and get it handed off so that someone can run with it. So, yeah, anyway.
Right. And I love what Sam said because you're going to the root of the problem so
Mhm.
many times. And that's why I just love, and I told you from the beginning, I love Backyard Orphans because we don't see how global it is. And I'm going to just speak of one thing. It's so easy for us to say, well, that's way over there. That's not going to affect us.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you how it affected us recently in the last, 10 years or so, or a little bit longer now. Katrina, we
Mhm.
weren't close. We were over here driving our roads, going around, having no issues
Right,
with
right,
water everywhere. When it hit them, where they have to go somewhere.
right.
So then they came here. If at least, what is it? And I'm making up statistics. Eric can research with his team, but at least, we're different researchers, different type of nerds. I'm a social nerd, you know, he's a book nerd. So I'm just thinking that out of the children I know that came into my school as principal, that we had, if I looked at a classroom of 20, I had about 10 that were affected in that time period. So
Yeah,
they migrated here and they end up staying.
Mhm.
yeah,
So we can't say it's not our backyard
Mhm.
right,
because if they're orphaned there, then they're going to start migrating to here, which now affects our orphan numbers right here in this part of Texas and in Ellis County. And that's why I love you so and your team because you all are reaching out to hit those problems because it is coming our way. It is our way already. You don't
mhm,
have to go, fly across the country anymore to adopt. We have so many here that's
right,
already adoption ready. So it's the same with just poverty. It's the
right.
same with brokenness, loneliness, mental health,
Mhm.
and foster care now.
Yeah.
We have to attack the problem,
Mhm.
at least put our seed into it. And we just thank you for putting our seed in. So I'm at us just stating it once again, if we want to put a seed in and we don't know where to start, Backyard Orphans is our start.
Yeah,
Let's
they can actually go to
Mhm.
GIVE dot backyardorphans.org and help us. We're doing tours. We're trying to figure all that out. And we've already invested some money in it. As you said, we're going to start doing it, whether we have the funding or not, we're going to figure it out. So yeah, thank you.
That's awesome, awesome, awesome. Is there anything else that you can tell us about that is affecting our community, or how we can go about things that we haven't talked about today? Because we've talked about a lot,
Yeah.
and we
Well,
appreciate you
yeah,
being patient with us. And
I think the vision, Nikki, you probably heard me talking about this. We had 90 days in our county
Mhm.
where we had no kid waiting for a family. It was unbelievable. That's like nationally unheard
On
of.
fire, yes.
And then we had two girls pop in, and we just really haven't been able to get that down again. So the vision I would love for our community to think is, okay, how many kids are waiting? I helped a church in Waxahachie, Texas. I think it was a year ago, and there were 16 kids waiting for families in our county. So I don't know what the number is today,
Mhm.
but again, we can build a relationship with that child welfare and find out how many kids are waiting, because we want to get to a day where it's not just 90 days, but 900 days where there's no kid waiting.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's
I love it.
good. And it starts with one.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
just starts with one person saying, you know what? I have an extra bed. I have space for a bed because
Right.
we also have teams that will give you a bed.
Right.
If you need that bed, if you have space, 40 square feet of space, then we can get you a bed. we can
Love it.
help you help a child.
It's
So
good.
thank you for that. Sam, it's been great,
This
right?
has,
It's
Eric,
been
I'm
great.
so glad to have met you. I love your ministry and your heart, and I'm just excited to see what you do next, what God
Yes,
does through you.
Thanks,
yes.
guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you all so much for tuning in with us today. We hope that this has been such a blessing for you. I know it was for me. What Eric is doing in the community and around the world is just incredible, and it's so inspiring. Don't forget to like our Facebook pages and to check us out on YouTube. We are over there as well, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates from us. See you again soon. Bye.